Today, we are here to talk about becoming a Salesforce Certified AI Associate, becoming certifiably awesome, of course. I'm Shelly Sousa. I'm an enterprise architect at CoBank. We're a farm credit bank in Colorado. So I don't work for Salesforce. I just happen to love Salesforce an awful lot, really helped me kickstart my career. I'm a credentialing subject matter expert. That means I write content for Salesforce certification exams. I'm a co-author of the AI Associate exam. I've also written some content for the Service Cloud exam as well, so the Service Cloud consultant. So I've also done some writing for other credentialing authorities. So I really like writing exam content and kind of giving back to the community. It's been a lot of fun. I'm a TDX 24 speaker. I spoke about the AI certification exam at Trailhead DX, Trailblazer DX, just recently. I'm 14 times Salesforce certified and 10 times industry certified. So it's 24 total certifications. Really like certifications, apparently. And I'm a 5-star ranger, not quite there yet, almost at all-star. We'll see that 6-star pretty soon. So that's a little bit about me. And if anybody has major questions, you're welcome to speak up, but I will keep rolling and we will definitely have time for Q&A at the end. So certifiably awesome agenda. What are we going to talk about today? We'll start by doing an overview of the AI Associate exam, just what it entails, what it includes, and then we're going to jump into Trailhead for just a minute and actually take a closer look at what's there. So I'll do a high level first, and then we'll jump over and look at the Trailhead modules and can kind of get comfortable there. Then I'd like to go into study tips and tricks that I use for myself that could work for anybody. And I'd like to take some time today to talk a little bit about test anxiety, which is something I've struggled with. You might say, wow, you have 24 certifications. Really? Is that true? Absolutely. I absolutely have test anxiety and I've struggled with it over the years, but I have some great tips that I'd like to share with all of you to maybe help you through it. And then finally, we'll talk a little bit about the credentialing subject matter expert experience. If anybody's interested in applying to become a subject matter expert, the team is always looking for new people. We are volunteers. It's a lot of fun and a great way to help others. So with that, we will get going. And let's talk about the AI Associate exam. So who is a Salesforce certified AI associate? That's everybody. That's anybody. Anybody who's interested. I think some of you may not know. The Salesforce released the associate exams. It was about a year or two ago, so they're pretty new. They're entry-level exams, which is great. If any of you are familiar with the Salesforce certification exams, the entry-level exam used to be the admin exam, and it's really tough. It is a huge challenge, especially if you're not super hands-on within an org every single day. It can be pretty hard to learn all the nuances of being an admin. So Salesforce decided to release an associate exam to give people sort of an entry-level way to just kind of start learning about Salesforce and validating their knowledge about Salesforce, which is great. So the AI Associate exam was released last year. And anybody who's interested in investing in Salesforce as a customer 360 platform, if you're committed to driving success with AI and data, or if you'd like to bring positive change with AI, this is a great way to learn. So I've mentioned in other talks that I've had that my undergraduate was data analytics and data management. I did some machine learning projects. I've worked with conversational AI projects in the past, built out different types of projects with prior companies. So I have a lot of hands-on experience, and it can seem like you need to be a data science expert in order to learn more about artificial intelligence. But I'm here today to tell you that that's not true. Anyone can learn about AI. Most of you are probably using tools like ChatGPT or using Salesforce's Einstein tools every day. You've probably been using AI in some way for many, many years, but maybe you don't have the language to explain exactly what it's doing or how it's doing it. And to me, that's the value of this exam. You don't have to be certified. I say that as someone that has a lot of certifications, but I have used them personally as a way to give myself sort of a North Star. And that's meaning I'd like to learn about this topic and become proficient in it. I'd like to know more about it. So I'm going to use the exam guide as a way to give me sort of a list of things to learn, because the exam guides are great. They're all bulleted lists. There's lots of different topics, and I can kind of check this one off and say, yep, I understand this one. Nope, I don't, and keep working through them. So we'll talk about what's in the Certified AI Associate exam, and that could be your checklist for learning how to speak the language of AI. So the Certified AI Associate exam, it validates foundational skills in 4 key areas. The first one's AI fundamentals, and that's just how AI works within the Salesforce platform and how it works in general. Topics like natural language processing, machine learning, predictive analytics, all of those things you may have heard, but not quite sure of exactly how they work. This exam can help you learn what those are. Then it talks about AI capabilities in CRM, which would be the actual tools within the CRM. So, the Einstein tools that we have, prompt builder, those sorts of things. This exam really focuses on a lot of the basics about how AI functions in Salesforce today. And remember, Einstein's been available in Salesforce for many, many years. It's not new. Generative AI is obviously quite new. But not AI in general. We've been using Einstein tools for a long time. So just a basic understanding. This is not a consultant exam. You do not have to be an expert in every single tool that Salesforce provides, but just understanding what's available generally is pretty important. You can see the two biggest topics on the right-hand side are ethical considerations of AI and data for AI. So I'll take a drink of water. So ethical considerations of AI, I would say that's probably the most important. You can see it's 39%. And Salesforce talks a lot about trust in AI. And I think we as consumers, right, not just people who work with AI, but people who use it ourselves for our own personal reasons or for professional purposes, we want to trust the AI that we use, right? We want to know that our data is secured and safe. And if we use AI with our customers in a CRM, they definitely want to know that it's safe. So how do you make sure that as AI is analyzing information, evaluating data, that it's doing it ethically, that it's unbiased, that it's secured, all of those things. So Salesforce has a really great trust model that they provide with a lot of information about how they make sure that they have integrity in all of their models. And even in Salesforce, when you're more comfortable with the models and how they work, you can take a look at them and see how is this model being evaluated, what is it doing, that sort of thing. Also, data for AI. You can't use AI without great quality data because it really is a garbage in, garbage out sort of thing. Meaning, if you're using bad data, you're going to get they're going to be bad analytics, right? You're going to get bad results. So you want to make sure that your data is clean and structured. And I know as people who have worked in Salesforce, even if we're new or if we've been in it for a long time, we want those fields to be accurate. We want that data to be as clean as possible. So it's hard to do. It's always a challenge. But it's absolutely critical. It's necessary for AI to function properly. So let's dig into these a little bit more. So identifying the fundamentals of AI. A couple statistics that I have on here. 95% of large organizations are currently running a pilot or a live production of some form of generative AI right now. So this is large organizations, right? But they are out there. They are using tools like Salesforce's prompt builder, using ChatGPT, using a lot of these other tools right now actively, or at least trying to use them today. So, this is one of those situations where I think there's a lot of fear about, is this going to replace my job? Is it taking my job? And I always equate it to sort of the computing boom, right? When computers started to become, cheaper and easier to utilize, and offices were filled with them all of a sudden. You had to learn how to use computers, and it's very similar here. We still have calculators today. They haven't gone away, right? They're just an app on our computers now. We're not saying that people are going away, but people do need to learn how to incorporate AI into what they do every day. So understanding what components of AI exist. What is natural language processing? What does that actually mean? If I say natural language processing, is that the thing that's the algorithms that are running in the background when I call customer service and it recognizes my voice and it does something with that? Is that natural language processing? What is predictive analytics? What does that mean? Is that when we use forecasting, right, marketing for Einstein or sales for Einstein, and we're getting these automatic, forecasting calculations that happen in the background? What about when we're marketing and we're discovering certain types of customers in certain segments only want these types of communications from us? Yes, we have consent management, but maybe we've identified that they really only respond to these types of campaigns. What is all of that, right? What is happening behind the scenes? Is that predictive analytics? Are we using reinforcement learning? Understanding what those terms mean. Again, you don't have to have a 4-year degree to learn that. The breakdown for this exam teaches you all the definitions and what they all mean and how they're applied, which is also important. So that's 1 and 2. Learn the principles first, and then differentiate between the types of AI and what the capabilities are, how they're used. So Next would be recognizing AI capabilities in CRM. 57% of companies consider customer experience as their top AI use case, and that is no surprise, right? It could be customer service, it could be customer communications, it could be content management. There's all sorts of options. So within Salesforce, the first thing for this particular section is identifying just CRM AI capabilities in general. What's available in Salesforce today? We have Einstein case classifications for Service Cloud. That's another example. Lots of capabilities. Again, this is not a consultant exam. This is an entry-level associate exam. So just learning that they exist is a great place to start. And then describing the benefits of AI as they apply to CRM. When would you use these and why would they be beneficial for certain types of companies and certain scenarios? This is 8% of the exam, so it's not huge. But it's just something to sort of get you started with understanding how you might apply these concepts in the organization where you work and how they might help your customers. So the next one is implementing ethical AI practices. And 90% of consumers believe that companies have a responsibility to improve the state of the world. But those same consumers don't typically trust AI technology. I'm trying to remember the statistic I saw recently, and it was something like 95% of people don't trust the AI that they use. And I don't know if that's 100% true, but I would say it's pretty close that there are some concerns from all of us when we use these tools. Where does our data go? Who's using it? What happens to it? So, what are the ethical challenges that you're going to potentially encounter when you're using AI? Obviously, Salesforce has been releasing some really great tools recently. We have Prompt Builder, there's Code Builder, there's all these amazing tools. If you take a closer look at how those tools work, where does that data go? Is it training models in the background? Is it secured? And Salesforce's trusted AI principles, they give you scenarios in the exam that you need to kind of think through based on those principles. What will we do in this scenario? What principle applies in this scenario? Again, I'll say this a billion times, not a consultant exam, but the goal is just to make sure you understand in the Salesforce ecosystem, what is happening to that data and how is it secured for the customers that we support. And I think that's the most important thing to take away is that can our customers feel confident in the way that their data is being managed and what control do they have over how it's being utilized to provide them with these services. Understanding the importance of data quality. I say data is my love language. I think in rows and columns. So I love data and it's always a bit of a bummer, a bit sad when you hear 40% of business initiatives fail due to poor data quality. I am sure all of you have seen the results of this in different organizations you've worked with, maybe even your own currently today. If you're entering, bad data, maybe you're trying to modify the way that data is entered by adding pick list values instead of allowing free-form text, that sort of thing to sort of control the data and make sure that it's entered appropriately. Or you're running reports and analytics. If you're using CRM analytics, maybe those reports don't come out so well. They don't provide you with the data that you're interested in or the data that you need. Maybe you have a lot of multi-select pick lists. Ouch, that's really tough to report on. Lots of semicolons. Ooh, what are you going to do? So keeping that in mind, understanding data quality, what it means, what is accuracy? Why is that important? What is consistency? Why is that important? There are a lot of components of data quality that you'll want to consider when you're creating the data set, the set of data that's going to be evaluated by that AI model. You also want to be able to describe the elements and components of data quality. When you're considering a new artificial intelligence initiative, you all may be a part of a team who is attempting to use a new tool. And something you'll want to consider is, do you have the right data quality for that tool to do what you're hoping it will do? Will you get to the outcomes you need to get to, starting with the data you have? Or do you need to do some remediation first? Maybe you need to do a little cleanup. And that's okay, but recognizing it ahead of time is certainly much better than going back later and cleaning it up when you realize that the AI model didn't work the way that you expected. So exam experience. I can't see all of you right now, so I'm not sure how many of you have taken a certification exam, but this one, it's an associate exam. So it's 40 multiple choice questions. It's 70 minutes long, 65% passing score, and it's $75. Retake fee is free, but I believe all of you could pass on the first try, I'm sure, if you decided to go for it. You can do a proctored exam at a testing site, testing center, or you can do an online proctored environment. You could take the test at home. I take most of my exams at home for convenience. But if you have a home that's not super quiet, or you just like to be able to focus, or you get that feeling that you'd be more comfortable at a testing center. Plenty of testing centers out there where you can schedule and take your exam comfortably. So how to prepare for your exam. I have a QR code here that will take you to the exam. I'm assuming we will send this out after the session, so you'll have access to this. And of course, you can just go to Trailhead and go straight to the certification and guide, but we'll take a look at that more closely in just a minute. So an exam guide, if you've never taken an exam before, the exam guide will provide you with information about the exam, who the exam is for. It'll give you some training references. It'll talk about the code of conduct and how you maintain your exams. So you do have to maintain your exams, usually annually. Sometimes there are updates made more often, but the goal is to make sure that your knowledge does not become stale, that you are still learning and maintaining your knowledge over time. Trail mixes are fantastic. There are two trail mixes for this. One is the Cert Prep module, and the other is just a general artificial intelligence overview. So we'll take a look at both of those so you can tell the difference. But the trail mix covers everything that we just talked about, the fundamentals, basics of generative AI, which is really great because if you've been using tools like ChatGPT or Prompt Builder or these other tools, it will explain exactly how they work on the back end, which is pretty great. Natural language processing basics. It'll talk about the AI principles and really go into detail on those. And then it will give you some data analytics fundamentals. So if you ever have any interest in learning a little bit more about data analytics, data cloud, those sorts of topics, that's a really great place to start. So let's just take a moment. I'm going to switch my screen here and we will look at Trailhead closer up. And I'm going to stop sharing for just a second. Let me take a look if there's any questions in here. Okay, thank you very much for letting everyone know we'll set out the slides. I appreciate that. All right, so let's go over to Safari. Okay, can everybody see my screen again? Hopefully, yes. Thumbs up. Okay, let's go. So I'm in the certification AI Associate. I'm going to navigate here just so you all can see how to get to it. You'll go here. I'm already logged into Trailhead. You'll come here, and then you can see at the very top, there's a special section just for Salesforce Associate certifications. And then we will navigate over to the AI Associate exam here. You can see there's two other associate exams, right? Marketing Associate was just released, oh gosh, maybe a couple of months ago at most. It's pretty new. And then the Salesforce Associate as well. I really like these exams a lot, starting with the Salesforce admin exam can be pretty tough, right? Not everybody knows, how to be an admin. Not everybody's been in Salesforce enough to know all the things you need to do to be an admin, but we all know about Salesforce and how it's used. So I think starting with the AI Associate and the regular Associate exam are pretty great. So this gives an overview, as I said before, of what the exam's about, who it's for, and here are the two sets of modules that you can go to. The first is the trail mix. So this will help you prepare for the associate exam in general. There's a lot of topics in here. I just noticed today, I finished this, but they added more stuff. So now I have more to do. I have to finish it again. So there's a lot of really great modules in here, right? Artificial intelligence for business, customer service. It breaks down every single piece of what AI really is. Again, it's fantastic because it's right from the start. It's the very beginning. It doesn't go super deep into how everything is designed or built, but it gives you just that glossary to help you understand, like this one's really great, this generative AI versus predictive AI. What are the differences between the two? And what does that really mean? So this is really great. And this other one is the Cert Prep. And the Cert Prep, if you've never seen one before, I don't know, I like these an awful lot. So I'm going to choose, let's go to the ethical considerations of AI one. And I'll scroll down here. And what this does is it provides you with exam practice questions. So if you've never taken an exam before, this gives you the ability to kind of get a feel for what the exam might be like. So this one says a consultant discusses the role of humans in AI-driven CRM processes with a customer. What's one challenge a consultant should mention about human AI collaboration and decision-making? So if you look through each one of these, does anybody have a guess? I'm going to take a look at the chat. Does anybody have a guess as to what this one might be? What answer they would give? I'll just give everybody a second.
Could you just please?
Can you move your cursor? It's
yeah,
thank
Here we go.
thank you.
Yep. And I'll wait if more people would like to provide an answer. Okay. All right. I think the A's have it. Let's see. Yay! Okay, that was A. So, all right, good job, everyone. So, what I like about this one is that it tells you that you're correct, right? Or if you're not correct, and it gives you information, provides you with more so that you can learn. So each one of these modules is made for the for each section of the exam, and it gives you the opportunity to practice. It also gives you links to all of the different resources that are related to that specific exam topic, which is really great. There's flashcards as well. So plenty of ways to study based on what you like the most, the way that you like to learn. Lots of different modules for you to try things out with. So I figure this is probably one of my favorite ways to learn because it gives you, 10 different ways to learn the same topics. So I definitely recommend going here as well. All right, so let's go back to my screen. Can you all see my presentation? I hope so. If you cannot.
I still see Trailhead.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me do a new share here. I'll have to switch back and forth a couple times. There we go. Okay, good. So let's talk about study techniques and get into some of that. So certification exam study tips. Like I said, I have quite a few certifications. And I'll just just go back for just a second. All of my certifications that I have today were earned within the last 5 to 6 years. That's 24 certifications in 5 to 6 years. Before I earned those certifications, I actually had quite a bit of trouble with taking certification exams. I really struggled a lot. One of the first ones that I attempted, I actually literally blacked out in the meeting. I mean, I was sitting there and it was like, like a whiteboard eraser, like someone just took an eraser and just erased my brain. There was nothing there. Nothing was happening in there. I couldn't think. I had all of the knowledge, everything I'd studied was gone. Wow, what is happening? So I thought I was prepared. I've learned a few tips and tricks that have helped me study to prepare and to sort of remove that anxiety as much as possible before I take my exams. So just a few general study tips. The first one's Pomodoro, that technique. I don't know if any of you have heard of that, but I do use that one frequently. Go hands-on, go to Trailhead. There, especially now after TDX, there are tons of really great hands-on activities that you can do, modules where you can actually work with Prompt Builder, you can work with Code Builder and really get used to some of these tools. They were not available before TDX, they are now, and you can actually practice them and see them live and see how they work. It's fantastic. So if you're a kinesthetic learner, definitely get on Trailhead and try those. ChatGPT is another option, which I will show you all how I use that sometimes. And then transcription. So for me, some people really love videos. Videos actually don't work well for me. I don't really enjoy watching them to study. So what I often do is I'll take a transcription from those videos because I like to read, and then I can read the transcription and then I can break it into smaller pieces the way that I need to, and turn those into flashcards or notes. And so there's lots of options. So you don't have to study any one way. You can study the way that you like to study. And again, I like to say certification exams are not required for anybody. You don't have to have a certification exam to be an AI expert. It's not necessary. There's plenty of people out there who know a whole lot about many topics that have not a single certification. But for me, it really helps me just structure my learning, and it sort of gives me like a final goal, like the cherry on top. I got to learn all these great things, and then, okay, let's go take the exam, because by the time I've learned all of them, the exam shouldn't be all that hard, hopefully. So let's talk about Pomodoro just a little bit. Pomodoro, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But it was invented in 1980. It originally used a kitchen timer. It was a tomato-shaped kitchen timer. Pomodoro is tomato in Italian. So what you do is you decide what task you need to complete. You set a timer for 25 minutes, work on the task until the timer rings, and then you take a short break, maybe a 5-minute break, and then start over again. You could take a longer break, but you'll repeat that about 4 times. And then after the 4th time, you want to make sure you're taking a nice long break. You could even be, finished for the day if you'd like to. But that's the goal. And really the process here, the purpose of it is to learn in short pieces, to give yourself a break away from the content so that you can, think, relax, give your brain a moment. I always say, give your brain a moment to cool down. That's super helpful. So let's see. You say tomato, I say pomodoro. That's great. So for me, I don't have a kitchen timer, but what I do have, I have these 2 timers here, right? So I have these hourglass timers that I can use to help me with my tasks. You can actually use these for work as well. If you feel like you're working on a task that's kind of complex, a little bit difficult, And maybe you just need something like a kickstart just to get you started. Maybe you're in analysis paralysis or something like that. I find that sometimes just flipping one of those over, like, okay, I'll just work on it for 2 minutes. And then if, I'm still not able to figure it out after 2 minutes, I'll go for a walk or something, and then I'll come back. And then let's see if I can do it after that. But the timers really help me an awful lot. Oh, you have time timer. That's fantastic. Yeah, pro momentum. Yeah, there's some really, really good ones. Oh, I love that. Yeah, so any sort of timer helps with this. But again, this is not like some long study session where you're supposed to sit there for an hour or 2 hours straight with no breaks, right? That's not really healthy for your brain. Your brain's not interested in it. It may start checking out after a while. So give your body a break, give your brain a break, get some water, get some food if you need it, right? And then come back and learn a little bit more. I really like that technique a lot. So another option is we have generative AI is to use something like ChatGPT to help you create study plans, to help you break down topics. You can even create mock exams with ChatGPT, and that's something that I've been exploring over the last year, and I found it to be really, really useful. So again, I'm going to switch back over, and I will share with you an example of how I do that. So I'll come over here to ChatGPT. And let's just say I'm studying for the identity and access management exam, which I am because that's the next one I need to complete. So if I'm studying for that one, maybe the first thing on this list is multi-factor authentication. So I'll come to ChatGPT and I'll say, I am learning more about multi-factor authentication. Please create 3 multiple choice mock exam questions to help me study. Okay. Awesome. So it's already giving me, right, a few questions. It's giving me the answers as well. I could ask it to provide, to not provide the answers if I'd like. Give me a question and then let me answer it and tell me if I'm right or wrong. But I mean, these are pretty good questions, right? So what's the primary purpose, right? Enhancing security. Which of the following combinations exemplifies multi-factor authentication? A password in a code center user's phone. That's fantastic. So for new topics you've never learned before, something where yes, I agree. Yeah. Some of my prior exams are certainly really hard, Bob. I really wish this was around back then. Sharing invisibility for sure. But having this especially when you're working with a new topic, multi-factor authentication, I think most of us use that every day and the concept makes sense to us. But, what if we had something like Identity Connect, where maybe we haven't heard of that before, we've never used it before. Maybe we want to learn more about certificate-based authentication. So that's a great topic. And I'll just provide another example here. So let's talk about, here we go. So each time a user logs in with a certificate, right, you can validate its revocation status, something like that. So maybe I could ask ChatGPT to explain why there is a revocation status. What is a revocation status? What does that even mean? And have it start breaking down this topic into even smaller pieces. Because maybe when you come to this topic, you're like, you don't know what you don't know. This is even too advanced, right? Just the words don't make sense yet. So come back to ChatGPT and ask it to help you break down that topic to start with. And then once you know a little more about it, now you can read this and it makes sense. It actually has context. I found this to be super useful for that, especially when I'm learning about new systems that integrate with Salesforce in new ways, right? Things are changing every day in tech, always. And it's really, really nice to have a tool like this to provide an explanation in a language that I understand in the way that makes sense for me. And you can always ask ChatGPT as well. You can say things like, this question is too difficult for me. Can you break this down further? Can you make this simpler? Explain it to me like I'm 5, and it will change the way that it responds to you. Yeah, yeah, I really do love this an awful lot. There's lots of options. I will use this example from something at work unrelated to this, but hopefully it will just show you all another option that you can use. Like I am not feeling well. Please write a sick note for my boss. Say that. I'm too sick to write the sick note. Now I can copy and paste it. Then I can say, well, this is a little formal. My boss and I are on more of a casual basis. please make the tone more casual. So you can do things like this, and I'm comparing this with the study technique where you can say, I didn't quite understand that. These words in particular, these two words don't quite make sense to me. They feel a little formal or they're too complex for me. Can you write this in a different way? And just talk to it like a person, and it will come back with a different option for you. So really, really good for studying. You can take your time with it. You can even create study guides and say, I would like to learn more about certificate management in Salesforce. Please create a brief study guide for me. Only provide the high level topics. Let's see what it says. So what I would do with this is I would take this list of high-level topics and say, I know nothing about certificate management at all. I've never heard of it before, or I've heard of it, but I don't really know what it means. So what I'm going to do, now that I have this list of the high-level topics, I'm going to take each one of these and learn each one at a time. So I have a structured path, just as ChatGPT just says, I have a structured path to help me with this. So I'm going to grab certificate management introduction, and this right here, this public key infrastructure, how it applies to Salesforce, that's the very first thing I'm going to learn. I'll break that down and I will apply the Pomodoro technique to that one piece at a time. Pretty useful. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation.
This is so meta to AI, use AI to learn.
Use AI to help you learn AI. Yeah. Okay. So let's keep going. So let's talk about test anxiety, because this is, like, as I mentioned, this is near and dear to my heart. This is something I've certainly struggled with. I gave you my example, been pretty vulnerable about it, but certainly not embarrassed. I'm just happy I found a way to handle it, to deal with it. And I hope you all do too. So, test anxiety, a little nervousness before a test is totally normal. By the way, this information I'm sharing today, there are links in the presentation. But this is directly from the Mayo Clinic. Test anxiety is absolutely real. It is a condition, right, that is really hard for people to deal with and sometimes can cause some embarrassment. But there's nothing wrong with you, right? There's nothing wrong with you if you have it. This is just something that people have to deal with. And again, this says a little anxiety, a little nervousness is totally normal. But with test anxiety, when it prevents you from being able to move forward, when you can't push through it, it's really making you miserable. There's some things that you can do to kind of help yourself through it. And this can happen to anybody. You could have felt great about your tests when you were in primary school and or when in college, and now for some reason you're taking the certification exam and it's really causing problems and you just can't break through. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad that you all are into this topic. So here's some study tips, and these again were suggested by the Mayo Clinic. I could have asked ChatGPT, but they were suggested by the Mayo Clinic, and I will say I use many of these. So I'm going to break these down into pieces the way that I understand them. So learning how to study efficiently, we just talked about a few ways to do that, right? Using your timers, using the Pomodoro technique, using ChatGPT, those sorts of things. Learning how to learn is not something that everybody knows. And even when we were in school, it's always possible. I will give myself as an example. When I was in primary school, I was lucky, fortunate, but I found primary school to be quite easy. But when I got to college and the topics were more complex, I really had a difficult time figuring out how to study those topics because I couldn't absorb them as quickly as I'd like, right? I couldn't just look at a page and understand everything about calculus. I actually had to sit down and do the work, right? So learning how to study efficiently, learning how to learn is really important. There's plenty of resources out there for that. And you already have a couple of examples today. The next one is studying early and in similar places. So cramming at the last minute, you're not giving your brain and your body the best chance to be successful when you're taking any exam. So, try to study as early as you can, meaning, you don't have to take the exam tomorrow. Study a few months ahead of time. Some people like to schedule their exams a few months away or a few weeks away to give themselves a goal. You can always reschedule your exam, by the way. I believe it's within 72 hours, you can reschedule the exam with no cost with Salesforce, and other exam entities are the same way. So, plan ahead, give yourself time. And if things come up, you're not feeling well, you think, your life has become too busy suddenly, it's okay. You can always reschedule the exam and take it at a different time. Studying in similar places is really helpful as well. I'm in my home office. I have a comfortable desk with, right, my hourglasses, my tools, my headphones, all the things that I need to be very comfortable. Not everyone has a home office that's super comfortable. Maybe you can go to a quiet room at a public library. Maybe at your office, you have the ability to, if you work in an office, you can go there. But whatever it is, try to find a place where you feel comfortable and use that place consistently. It's one of those things where your body and brain remembers that I've been in this place before, I learned something new, and it will continue to remember that. It's like muscle memory. Um, Yes, yeah, Katie, I'm a last minute test booker. Is that a thing? I book my test like almost the day before when I feel ready, and that works really well for me. But I talked to a really good friend of mine who said that would make them super nervous. They have no idea of how I do that, and they schedule theirs 2 months ahead of time. So it's really whatever works for you. But I do think it's very motivating to have that. I'm going to do this in 2 months, and I can do it sort of mindset. The next one is establish a consistent pre-test routine. So my pre-test routine, again, happy to be open and vulnerable. I dance. I listen to music. I usually listen to R&B, something like just really, really groovy that's just going to get me like out of my study mode. It helps me relax. I'm not going to show you all my dance moves. I do have some sick dance moves, but that's private. So I just turn on the music. I look away from the screen and just jam and just let go for a little bit and listen to something really fun that makes me really happy. If I, sometimes if I need a little more time away, play Tetris. That's great. Tetris is a good idea. If I need to get more energy out, if I'm still feeling nervous, sometimes I'll go take a walk in my neighborhood, just a quick walk around the block. Something to sort of release that energy that's making me feel a little bit nervous. But the dancing makes me laugh and smile. That gets me in the right mood. I'm not taking myself too seriously, even though the exam is serious, but I feel like that helps me sort of disconnect from that anxiety because that's what I need to do to be successful. The next one, let me take a look at the comments here. Pre-exam dance tutorial. Yes, I'll get some cardboard and I'll show you all my breakdancing moves, and then and also we'll talk about maybe something for pain management after those breakdancing moves. That's really important too. So if you're still struggling, right, doing those first three things, talk to a mentor. I mean, this group is full of phenomenal people who have taken exams before, who've gone through, we have like certified, we have CTAs, people who've been through all of these exams before. But talk to someone, reach out. I'm stuck on this part of the exam, this thing, or unfortunately, I failed the exam, and this particular area really baffled me, or I'm really just feeling nervous and I can't seem to get over it. What have you done in the past? Sometimes just talking to someone can make you feel a little bit better. Not everybody likes to talk, but if you do, reach out. Most people are pretty open to discussing these things, or at least just reminding you that it's going to be okay. Another one is learning relaxation techniques. If any of you meditate, right, taking some deep breaths. Sometimes just laying down, you don't have to go to sleep, but just laying down, closing your eyes and not looking at the screen can be really, really helpful. Don't forget to eat and drink. See, I'm drinking constantly, tons of water, but you have to feed your brain, right? That your brain is an organ. It needs calories, it needs food. So don't starve yourself through your study sessions unless that's the way you study, but I would think maybe a snack would help every now and then. It's probably good for you. A little bit of protein, a little bit of nutrients. Get some exercise. I mentioned before, take a walk. I've noticed this is even with work, not even studying for tests. When I'm really stuck on a topic and I'm struggling to think of what to do next, sometimes just taking a walk outside will kickstart me again. Just getting away from the screen, not thinking about it anymore, and just letting my body do something different is super helpful for me. This happened to me yesterday. I was, while I'm walking, suddenly the presentation I needed to create just came to me. Oh, there it is. Not this one, different one for work. But like, okay, now I know what to do next. But I really had to get away from the screen and stop forcing myself through that moment. Get plenty of sleep. I mean, yes, but also no, we know if you're nervous before the exam, you're probably not sleeping well that night, but that does not mean you can't sleep well the days before the exam, right? You know it's coming, but do your best to get some rest. Even if you don't sleep, just lie down and close your eyes and give yourself a moment to just rest your body physically. That can help a ton. Solution while taking walks. Yeah, taking notes. I keep my digital notepad, and I'll talk to it, right? Use a voice to text while I'm walking, so people think I'm talking to myself, or maybe they think I'm having a conversation with a person. I don't know, but I'm talking to my phone and taking notes about the thing I'm going to do when I come back, which is helpful. So next one, don't ignore a learning disability. I'm going to call this one out because I have a learning disability, and I'm not going to get into all the details of it, but I will say I didn't realize I had a learning disability, and that was the reason why I was struggling so much with taking my exams. It was why I had such a hard time in college, and I needed to work through that. What I will say is addressing that disability and working with someone to help me with it was certainly eye-opening, and it made me feel so much better. But gosh, I've struggled so hard for so long. Why? Now I know why. But even knowing that, I still had to do all of the other things above, right? All of those things are still required to enable myself to be the best that I can possibly be physically and mentally so that I can manage that disability. So don't ignore it. And I'm at the bottom here, see a professional counselor or a doctor if necessary. Don't hesitate to reach out if this is something you're doing all of these things and you're still struggling with it. Please look for someone to talk to, and maybe you can get more help. There are a lot of options, right? A lot of ways to get help for this if you need it. You don't have to power through all of it alone. Reach out to each other, reach out to friends and mentors that you trust, and definitely talk to your doctor if you think this is going kind of beyond that, where it's really so nerve-wracking and so miserable that you can't work through it alone. Don't. Find somebody to help you with it. Okay, so last topic here. Yeah, yep, absolutely, Alicia. It really does become manageable. It helps a lot to just to know that this is who you are and what you're dealing with, and accepting that it almost releases some of that anxiety just on its own, right? And being true to yourself in that moment. Thanks for sharing that. So the SME experience. So if you take a lot of exams and you're thinking, I just haven't done enough with certification exams, because that's what I felt like. I could do more. Why not help out with actually creating the exams? So I'm a subject matter expert for CompTIA. I don't know if you all have heard of CompTIA, Network Plus, A+ exams. Those are for IT certifications. I was a beta tester for one of their new data analytics exams that just came out a couple of years ago. And I help them write content for that exam as well. So I write content for them, and I also write content for Salesforce. I was a co-author for the AI certification exam, like I said earlier. But what does that even mean? What do you actually do when you're an SME? So there's some articles out there about it. A few other SMEs have discussed it, but talk about the experience itself. It gives you the ability to use your skills and knowledge. You can give back to the community, which is, I always love that. If you've ever looked at a certification exam and said, wow, what is going on with this question? Those exams are reviewed on a regular basis. They are updated when new content is available. So, and you can always see when you look at the exams, if you look at the page, it will tell you when the last time it was updated. But each release that comes out is an opportunity, each Salesforce release, right, 3 times per year, that's an opportunity for the exam to be updated with new content. And plenty of those exams have been updated in the last few years. So if you'd like to help with that, make the exam experience better. You saw this terrible question, you're like, I don't ever want to see that question again. You can be the person that changes it and make it better for everybody else. You can collaborate with experts, and you can earn vouchers and swag. So for the AI certification exam, all of the SMEs who participated were provided with a free voucher to take the exam, which is really nice. So we are volunteers. It's not a paid gig. We do it because we want to help and because we're really interested in making the community better. So let's see. Lakshmi. Oh, okay. So good question here. Not the wrong question, but I would like to come back to this after. Let's come back to this at the end. I will keep that question in mind. So how do you apply? If you're interested in becoming an SME, what do you do? So there is a link here that is it's in here in the presentation, so you'll have it when you receive it. This is the top part of the application. So you fill out the application, you'll receive an email telling you that you applied. You'll provide things like your resume, your experience, that sort of thing. And if you're a good fit, then someone will reach out to you and ask you to participate. So I discovered a year and a half ago that the AI certification was being developed, and I knew that my experience, or I felt that my experience was a good fit for it. So I applied, provided my information, and they got back to me pretty quickly, and I was a part of the team. I was invited. So you apply, you do have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. There's certain information you can't share about how the review process is performed, how the items are written. So you have to make sure you're keeping that between yourself and the other members of the team. But once you have all that done, then you're fully invited. You have access to the question bank and all of that, and then you can meet with your SME team and you start collaborating together. And you meet together and talk together. So this is not like, it wasn't like the Shelly show where, you know, I said I'm a co-author, but I'm a co-author with multiple people. We all work together on this. It was a big team to look at these questions, to really question each other as well. Does this make sense for someone who is just learning this topic? Is it too complex? Is it too overwhelming? Does it, you know, is it the right fit, or is this something more for an expert? Those sorts of conversations have to happen. And there's many layers of review just to make sure that we're all reviewing and re-reviewing to get this to the point where it's something, a real exam that people can take and that it makes sense. Yeah, that'd be great, Lakshmi. It's a fun process, and you learn a lot from other experts. You know, the experts who are here have experience from all over multiple industries, so they bring lots of different viewpoints. And the more you know, the more diversity and thought we have in these programs, the better. Also, the Salesforce credentialing team, they're credential developers. They work for Salesforce, and these people they're fantastic. I met many people from that team, and their background is education and testing, test development. So they really are very good at what they do, and they make sure that we're all on track to provide the best experience possible. They really use a lot of industry, I'd say, standard techniques and best practices that they have studied for most of their careers. So yeah. Fight Club. That is so true, Mary. Yes, we do debate a lot, and we will definitely go back and forth about certain topics that we really are passionate about and really believe should be in the exam, or things that this is just too difficult, this doesn't make sense, that sort of thing. But it's a team effort, it's collaborative. Nobody goes alone. That's the most important thing. Big group of people. Yeah, a lot of learning from experience, technical, non-technical. Yeah, and it takes everybody. You know, we don't want to have just all technical people, right? Or all people who are data analysts for this one in particular, or all engineers. This needs to be, we have to remember who is the person who's taking this exam. This is AI for everyone. It's not AI for data scientists. So you want to hear from people who have business analysis experience and program management experience, but also know AI really well. So I felt really great, honestly, really proud to work with so many people on this team to create this particular exam, because the breadth of their experience was just, it was enormous. It was great. Okay, so that's it for my presentation. I'm just so glad I could join all of you today and talk about these topics with you. I will be doing some more talks in the future with other community groups to talk, like, really deep dive into artificial intelligence. But I hope I can come back to you all in the future sometime and maybe talk to you more about Salesforce AI, study tips, any of that. Please reach out to me on LinkedIn if you'd like to connect. Yeah, I'm always happy to chat and provide tips and tricks, or just cheer you on when you pass your exam. So that's it. Thanks a lot for your time, and I'm happy to answer some questions.